Ispirazzjoni u esperimenti ma' Angel Gallia.
Nilqakom għal programm ieħor Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti u l-mistinna tal-lum hija kummedjanta hija wkoll produttriċi tal dawn il-comic shows. Ħanitkellmu bl-Ingliż, Niti Dhingra, thank you for being here with us. We don't always have comedians coming to our shows, but obviously all art forms are important, and who doesn't like laughing? Right? So thank you for finding the time, and you're here. You describe yourself, or your friend described her for you, right? You're a comedian, actor, and I love this, chaotic genius. Chaotic genius behind the Two Black Cats comedy. So you're here in Malta, where you are building one of the founders of comedy here. So take us through the journey of being you.
Right, so I've been in Malta for about 3.5 years, and I've been doing Two Black Cats for I think just under 2 years now. So it's all gone really fast.
Wow.
I started off as a stand-up comedian a long time ago. I actually started in Berlin. I think my first performance was in like 2008. But then
So what took you there? Why did you want to start? Because stand-up comedy, għas-semija forsi li mhumiex intiżi stand-up comedy meta jkollok komedjant waħdu fuq il-palk ma jkollu xejn fil-mikrofonu u jgħid iċ-ċajtu jdaħħaq mingħajr għajnuna ta' xejn. So what took you to such a challenging comedy genre?
Well, a lot of my friends were comedians. There wasn't really a comedy scene there back then.
Either.
No. I saw myself as a serious artist, a poet, like a performance poet, and an actor. But when I was on stage, everybody laughed.
Okay.
And people kept telling me the things I say in between the poems are the best bit.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they recognized it in you.
Well, someone just put me on stage and says, just drop the comedy and do the rest.
Drop the poetry, I mean.
Yes, drop the poetry and do the rest. Thank you.
It's okay. So, and then you did. How was it for you?
Well, I was performing in a poetry scene and not doing poetry, and people thought it was some sort of weird performance. They didn't quite understand what stand-up comedy was. But yeah, that was the birth of it, and then I started doing real comedy shows.
Yes, and here in Malta you are working with Two Black Cats.
Yes.
And what is that about?
So Two Black Cats, the name actually came when I was writing a play. It was for the English Theatre Berlin, and it was really late at night, and I had to submit the play to this festival, but they needed a company name.
Oh my!
So I'm sitting there thinking, and my cats keep jumping on the desk. Like get out the way, get out the way. And then when they finally just sat on my laptop and wouldn't move, I was like, okay, Two Black Cats, I'm going to bed now.
I love that story. That is so cool. So apart from now knowing why you named it that, what is the purpose behind your company? What are you trying to achieve?
On a very simple note, I'm trying to have fun.
Hey, that's good. That's always good.
I never thought I would be the kind of person who ran my own company, who ran my own shows, but it sort of slightly came out of necessity when I moved to Malta, because I saw so many great women artists of, comedy, drag, burlesque, singing, and I saw that there was generally, especially for comedy, not a platform for them to perform regularly. The comedy scene here was quite small to start with. It was the comedy nights and Malcolm Galea and Steve
I know
Healy.
that guy.
I thought you might.
Yeah.
But the scene has got a lot bigger now.
Yes,
but
it has.
I still don't think that apart from the open mics where you do see quite a few women, you don't really see them performing outside of that very much.
So you're creating your own space for women to perform. That is very courageous, and I think entrepreneurial as well, because you're creating your own company and your own space. So what are you seeing from this experience of 2 years now?
Well, it's not just women. I'm also promoting the LGBTQIA plus community.
Very good.
And the fact of the matter is, it just makes sense.
Of course. Of course.
We are over 50%, like 51, coming up to 52% of the planet now. And women go out. Women love going out.
Yes,
Most of
and
my female,
laughing.
exactly. So providing them with a place where the humor is for them, because you know, you don't have to like every comedian you see.
No.
Comedy is subjective.
Yes, you either laugh or you don't.
Exactly. And seeing one comedian and making a sweeping generalization is like only hearing one band and making a decision about music. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
There might be a person of a gender that you don't like, but you know, there's loads of us, men and women and everything in between, all doing comedy. And yeah, there's definitely someone out there for everyone. And actually I have to say now more and more men are coming to my shows.
Fantastic, fantastic. So nice to hear. So, ħanitkellem ftit bil-Malti biex ngħidu ftit dwar semmejna Niti ħolqod il-pjattaforma Two Black Cats fejn hi tistieden in-nisa u l-membri tal-LGBTIQA+ biex ikollhom spazju fejn jistaw jagħmlu l-performance tal-komedi tagħhom. Sintendi din hija mirata għan-nisa ma mhux biss anke rġiel qegħdin jattendu fejn ikollhom iktar chances li narawhom u forsi opportunitajiet li iktar miftuħin għall-irġiel. So I really admire you for doing that because you're here on this island and within a year you started this, so that is quite brave for someone coming from abroad.
I think that's where the chaotic comes from.
I see, that's the chaotic genius part. I think that she got it right when she described you like that, your friend.
I wake up in the night, I have an idea, and within a week I'm running with it.
Wow, oh wow, you work very hard, you really do.
Thank you.
So you work on stand-up, you also do improv.
Yes.
Those are two different beasts. Maybe you would like to describe how you work towards each one. What are your methods of coming up with a comedy set? What do you do for improv? So we learn.
Yeah, I've kind of been doing both pretty much hand in hand. I'd say the improv goes more with my acting kind of love, I guess. And I've been lucky enough to do both comedy and improv in lots of different countries. And with the improv, I think there's more techniques and rules to learn. You really rely on understanding which game you're going to play and understanding your scene partner. So there's a lot of community in it and as little ego as possible. Because it's really reading the other person and anything can happen. It's wild, it's crazy. Sometimes it feels like there's electricity on the stage.
Yes, we're not very used to improvisation in Malta. There is a festival, a previous guest, Monellu, organizes a festival on that, but maybe you could describe what you were referring to as a game, what happens during improv.
Well, Simone actually is the director of our improv troupe.
Perfect.
So we're under really good hands.
You are.
And we're working with some talented people from all around the world and from Malta in our little group. Well, it started as a little group. There's 10 of us now.
Wow. Yes, you're growing.
Yeah, and we're still running workshops, so
amazing.
Anyone can join us.
Amazing. So you go in and you have, what were you saying about a game? What would that mean?
So we do short form mainly, and short form in the comedic sense. So there's a game, like every time Simone says a word, we have to move a certain direction. So we have to know that rule. But exactly what happens in the scene is up to the audience. So none of us know. We can't prepare for that.
Okay.
Or we know that the audience are going to pick a word or a number or something, and that's going to influence how we play the scene out.
Nice.
And the scene, we have absolutely no idea what we're doing. Again, Simone talks to the audience and gets that for us.
Fantastic. So pala improvisation għaw Malta ma tantx għanna imma grazzi għal artisti bħal Niti, Simonellu li tidderiġjhom, dan hija forma fejn inti tmur fuq il-palk u ma jkollokx script preparata, ma jkollok assolutament xejn, imma jkollok isu framework, il-logħba li tkun qed tilab ikollha ċertu regoli kif jilagħbu tfal u inti meta ikollok dawn ir-regoli taf bej wieħed u ieħor x'sa jagħmel x'sa tagħmel il-persuna l-oħra fuq il-palk u jisiltu l-idejat dak il-ħin mill-udjenzi. It's a different form and obviously it requires a lot of talent, a lot of dedication because you need to grow within the practice. but also very courageous.
Do you know, I actually, it is courageous, obviously, because, you know, we all get nervous before we get on. What are the audience going to say? What are they going to throw at us? But we're doing it as a team.
Yes, you're together.
And it's not as lonely as stand-up comedy can be.
Very true. So how do you prepare for stand-up? What is your routine?
Writing, always journaling, always thinking, observing.
Where do you get most of your inspiration?
Everyday life, listening to people. I think people have told me that my brain is just wired differently. I don't know if it's the ADHD or, you know, just being me, or living in so many different cultures.
I think that helps, because you see the different nuances between cultures, so you can pick on whatever others don't see, because for you they're new or different, right?
Yeah, and what makes my day is when a member of the audience comes up to me and says, that's exactly how I feel.
How
oh my
cool.
God, you've just basically like described my life right now.
How wonderful. That is encouraging as well.
Yeah.
So Niti tiġi ispirata biex meta tikteb il-kommedja minn dak li tara madwara, sintendi għexet f'ħafna pajjiżi differenti, allura tara ċertu affarijiet li forsi aħna tant ikunu drajnihom qas nibqgħu narawhom u l-ħin kollu tikteb. So you're writing all the time, journaling. So how do you find time to curate other iconic artists? I don't like Kiki Valentine, Undine Laverve. These are beautiful artists that we have on our islands as well. How do you curate other people's works?
So I kind of set certain hours aside that is all about the business, like 2 or 3 hours a day. I am taking care of marketing and the business. As far as Undine Laverne and Kiki Valentine go, they are amazing. And they direct their own shows.
They do.
You know, I help with the marketing and getting them what they need and producing their shows.
Wow.
But they are very talented and they have a very clear vision of what they want and they execute that.
But it's nice to see you collaborating, working with other artists. Within these 3 years, you've got a huge network of people. I think there's a certain magnetism about you that pulls people towards you. That's true.
I've been really lucky. I don't know how, but even Pia Zamit has been willing to work for me,
Of course.
with me. Sorry, not for me, with me.
With you, yes.
Sorry, Pia.
That's okay. It's okay. Pia can take it. Yes, bless her. So yeah, but it's important because you have this skill and this ability, let's say, to collaborate and bring out the best in people, to bring them together. So what would a show that you would have curated look like?
It really depends on the show. So I do a lot of the variety shows are me, and the comedy shows are all like my brainchildren, like so to speak. And for those, I reach out to the artists I want to work with, or I make an open call and let people who I don't know message me, you know, send me videos of what they can do, and then I just sort of pick and choose per show, maybe 6, 7 from a vast range of, you know, a variety, basically.
Yes, of course, because it's a variety show. So you'd have different genres of performances, like burlesque, like comedy art. What else?
Music, drag, yeah. We've had an aerialist, you know, someone who twirls around. We've had that before. We've had a contortionist before. So lots of things. And I basically just try and take the audience on a journey, even though the company is called Two Black Cats Comedy. Like
it's not always
comedy. I mean, we once had a musical duo, Tonella. So it was Nell and Beck. At a variety show the first time they worked with me, and they were last, and the whole room was in tears because they had made us feel something we didn't know was possible. And everyone was so happy.
How sweet.
You know, they're like, what have you done? You made us laugh and cry in the same 20 minutes.
How sweet. That's amazing. So you're originally from London,
Yes.
but you have performed your own blend of humor and energy across, like, from Canada, USA, Europe. Do you feel that there's a difference between these different countries when it comes to audiences and audiences reception, and how do you read your audiences?
Well, I mean, I've done a couple of gigs where I've spoken German rather than English, but generally I perform in English. So everyone who comes to see me does understand English, and there's a commonality in that. There's a lot of foreigners or a lot of people who are interested in English language comedy culture. So there's that there is a commonality. So I get to do the jokes I wrote that I find funny, but when I'm in France, I may do more jokes to do with being married to a French person.
Amazing.
Or if I'm in Germany, more jokes about the 14 years I spent living there and the things that have changed or the things that are still the same.
Okay.
Or the jokes that I wrote more around that time. I might, brush them up, modernize them and go back and do that. But yeah, I don't think there's a huge difference. There's one funny difference I've noticed about Malta. You guys love crowd work.
Crowd work. So describe that to us. Explain.
It's more off the cuff. It's more like audience interaction.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like picking on the audience and telling them this or that or the other about themselves.
And that's really funny because you can't really do that a lot with German audiences.
Oh, no. Because they may be colder or, less receptive.
Well, it depends how much comedy they've seen. Because if they haven't seen that much, if they're outside of Berlin and they haven't really experienced that much of the non-German stand-up comedy, they call comedy a monologue.
Okay.
So they don't expect the interaction. They want to hear your monologue.
Yes, I see. So that's at the time of our recording, you are preparing to go to Paris.
That's right.
And working on that. How's that going?
Very good. I'm lucky enough on the, I think it's the 18th of April, to be performing at Comedy Lab, which is the most popular comedy club in Paris, I think. That's what they've...
So that's a big... It's as big as you can get in Europe. Is that how?
I've already played in the biggest comedy club in Europe that is outside a non-English speaking country.
Amazing.
So I've already done that.
So you've got that experience, and now the next one. What are things that you're preparing for? Like what are your routines? What are you going to be presenting? Apart from you're married to a French guy.
Trying to learn the French language.
Oh, I see the challenges of
things I love about Paris. Because I think I might be the only person who goes around saying how much they love Paris, but I really do love Paris.
Oh.
It feels like the European equivalent of New York, and then hundreds of people say they don't like New York as well, I guess.
Okay, so it's your personal take on all things French.
Yeah, I love how honest they are,
That's nice.
In Canada, someone said to me, we're all going out for a beer, do you want to come? And I said, no. And they thought I was joking, because you just don't say that in Canada. You say, oh, I'd really like to come, but
and then
my hamster needs to go get an x-ray. They would much rather a big fat lie than you just say, no, I don't feel like it.
And oh my goodness, but that's really interesting though, how different cultures react.
Yeah.
So palissa qiegħda tipprepara biex tmur Pariġi u ċertu ċajt li tkun qed tipprepara ikunu ġejjin mill dak l-esperjenzi li tkun għaddejja minnhom. So going back to the local scene, because you already said that they're like the crowd work. What else have you found locally in Malta? So you mentioned that the comedy scene wasn't that big.
It's pretty big now. I mean,
there's been a development.
Yeah, I mean, my comedy stuff is just one part of it. I mean, there's Caravan Comedy, there's Wild Comedy, Ali Storm Presents. I'm sure I'm missing a few, and I don't mean to, but there's just that many names out there.
Already. And how important is it that we laugh at at ourselves, at our situations? As a because you're also an educator, right? How much do you think it's important that we do that?
Back at university, actually, I did write a paper on the power of learning through comedy.
There you go. There you go.
That was my master's dissertation in my studies.
Yes.
And it's really important, but it needs to be done right.
And what do you mean by that? Done right how?
It's important to call out injustices, and it's important to help people understand something in a nice, simple way by, comparing it to some everyday situations. But it's such a sensitive thing that you have to remember the power you yield. like an offhand punch down joke, so like a punch like to a group that have less power than you, can be so painful. And yes, anything is valid in comedy as long as it's funny, but then you have to stand behind that joke.
And face the consequence of your words.
Exactly. So yes, as a comedian, I have freedom of speech, but so does the audience.
Exactly. And that's such a good point. I'm going to translate this because I feel it's very important. So if il-masters taħħa fuq paper li kitbet ratu studijat fuq l-importanza li wieħed jitgħallem bit-ċajt, sewwa ġifieri tuża ċajt biex titgħallem propju, imma hija importanti li l-kummedjant jara fir-responsabilità ta' kliemu sewwa tagħmel li titkellem kontra l-inġustizzji, ma jekk inti għandek ċerta poteru qed tmaqdar u twaqqa' ċajt minnu għandu inqas poter minnek, imbagħad avolja hija titkellem b'mod biex iddaħħaq tittieħu responsabilità ta' kliemek għaliex jekk inti għandek id-dritt tal-kelma tista' titkellem kif trid, anke l-udjenza tiegħek għandha l-istess dritt. I like very much how you portrayed that, and it's important because we are trying to educate through this series of programs as well, and inspire. Yes. And inspire. And in fact, in November, you're going to bring the musical, the producers of Mel Brooks to Blue Box Theatre. Why did you choose that show?
Yeah, so it's November 5th to 9th. We're doing 6 performances.
Lovely.
So getting the plug in.
Yes.
We had a couple of shows in mind. We were thinking maybe Rocky Horror Picture Show or Little Shop of Horrors. But we decided on this one in the end, which is probably the biggest as far as cast and staging and everything goes out of the 3. So
that's ambitious.
That's very ambitious, yes, indeed. But it's really good. And I think it speaks to a lot going on right now.
Perfect, yes. So the message is aligned with what you would like to say.
Exactly. I mean, for those who are not aware what it's about, 2 producers in New York are trying to put on the worst play possible in a kind of money-making scam. I'll leave it that you have to come see it if you want to know the rest.
And have a nice laugh as well.
Exactly.
And so in which format are you going to produce it? Is it like full-blown? Is it how are you going to present it at the theatre?
So we're going to be using quite a multimedia kind of approach towards it. We're going to be modernizing a little bit.
Fantastic.
The original is set in New York. We're kind of pretending that New York is a part of Malta.
How cool is that?
And you're going to be very surprised at the faces that you see. There are some recognizable faces in the lead roles, but there's also a couple of cameos. So
nice. Some surprises there.
There will be.
So, good. Mela, għal Novembru, which days did you say?
November the 5th to the 9th, and there will be 6 performances.
Mela, għandna 6 shows ta' the producer ta' Mel Brooks li ħat tittalla fil-Blue Box Theatre. Dinja komedja sabiħa ħafna li ċertu messaġġi li huma għadhom attwali ħadd tkun bbażata oriġinarjament fin New York, imma għal din darba nagħmluha ta' parsi New York huwa parti minn Malta, nħajjarkom li issegwu dan l-ispazju wkoll fej they can follow you on Facebook, 2 Black Cats.
Facebook, Instagram, 2 Black Cats, yeah.
Ma tinsewix 2 Black Cats, żewġ tiqtat is-suwed. 2 Black Cats is because we love cats in Malta a lot, so they won't forget it for sure. Thank you so much, Niti Dhingra, for being here, for finding the energy to make us laugh, because we really, really need to laugh. Right?
Yes, and we'll be doing shows every week throughout May, dying down a little bit for the summer to concentrate on the production of this musical, but then from October a show every weekend again.
Wow, fantastic. All the best. Thank you. U grazzi lilkom eżis semmija tal-li segwejtu Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti. Islim.
Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti ma' Angel Gallia.